Hello again, everybody. Rob Bartenstein at Kester Private Wealth Services here with another edition of KPWS On the Fly. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend and partner, Scott Wilson, COO. And we have as our guests today the gentlemen from Whitecap Wealth Management, Casey Johnston and Dave Johnston. Welcome, guys.
Welcome. Thanks. Nice to be here.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Look forward to having a chat with you.
Yep. Great.
So let's just jump right in. We've been working together a pretty long time, so we're sort of old hands here. We know each other pretty well. But for the folks that are just listening, what's the story of Whitecap, and tell us how it got going and the origin.
I got started in the industry clear back in 1980. So I spent
Finally somebody that's been here longer than Scott. I like that. That makes him feel so good. You have no idea.
Anyway, so I had a long history of being in this industry and loving what I was doing, but I was not getting any younger. And I had a son, Casey, who was working outside the industry in another place, and I just felt like I wanted my clients to be taken care of long past my career. So we talked back and forth over the years, and he tucked in with me at Morgan Stanley for 3 years, but we knew we weren't going to stay there forever. So during that 3-year period, we looked and explored with all the independent firms. We felt like that was the next step in our progression and where I wanted to take our firm and where he felt comfortable taking it. So 7 years ago, he tucked in with me at Morgan Stanley for 3, and then 7 years ago, we formed our own little LLC, Whitecap Wealth Management, and we left Morgan Stanley and went over and started doing our thing with Kestra and Whitecap, and it's just been great. We manage money pretty much the same way we always have. I've loved doing what I've been doing for all of these 40 plus years, but it's even nicer now to do it with a son who's smarter and more helpful, more helpful than anyone else. And it's just kind of nice from my perspective to think, well, I can scale back my time, maybe start working 6.5, 7-hour days, take a Friday off occasionally, but know that my clients, who I view as partners and friends, will always be well taken care of. So that's really the genesis of Whitecap, and we love what we're doing. We have fun doing it. We don't have any clients we don't like.
No, that's great.
We get rid of them if they're problematic and give issue. And it's not so much that we get rid of them. We know that we're not a good fit for everybody. Mm-hmm. And we don't try to be a good fit for everybody.
We say the same thing.
But if you like the way we do things and you like the way we manage money, then we're a good fit.
Yeah. I don't know who wouldn't like the way you manage money based on
my kids are such beneficiaries of the way he manages money.
Record.
I mean, some of the ideas you've given me have been incredible.
Now, just so you know, too, that money management philosophy stems from wanting to do the same thing for clients that we do for ourselves.
Yeah.
So years ago, my clients started to say, hey, if you like this stock at this price, just buy the same percentage in my account that you're buying in your own. And so over time, now all we want to do is be the advisors, and ideally in a perfect world, we'd have them the same percentages stock that we own and the same percentage of each of the companies and the funds and the ETFs that we have. And anyway, we want to have a common destiny, with our clients and our friends. So what else would you add?
I would just say we spent probably 2.5 years too long at Morgan. for me. I think we could have left after 6 months.
You knew it 6 months is what you're saying.
I did.
Yeah.
And every time the compensation plan would come out there, I'm like, oh, we're getting a haircut again. And we did a lot of due diligence. I remember back, I had a Hotmail folder titled Freedom after Braveheart, right? And so we had all these due diligence things come in. And when we met with you guys originally 7 years ago, we just came back from that dinner up in Salt Lake and thought, these are our guys. We both felt good about it. And it's been just nothing but rewarding the last 7 years.
That was the Cheesecake Factory.
That was
I remember.
Cheesecake Factory, our first meeting there.
Yeah.
I remember that. In fact, we stayed across the street last night from there.
It was a great dinner.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. But anyways, I just think, and you guys were instrumental in helping us form Whitecap and kind of from the foundation of thinking about how to do it. And it's been great the last 7 years. So
I appreciate that.
I remember we were looking around for real estate, walking around.
Yes. Yeah.
That was, I had never really been to Provo. And what a beautiful place. It's a gorgeous office, a great valley.
Sure.
We always said it's the perfect kind of sort of secondary, tertiary market to a metro market where people like you can help wealthy people manage money and achieve goals. It's a perfect little setting. And I love it there.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well,
it's been good.
So it's been a good long run, relatively speaking. So tell us how things, from your perspective, how things have changed, either in your business or in the business over the last 7+ years. And what feels different today than it did back then?
Markets are always different. They always change. You have up periods, down periods, but from the way we do it, what we manage for clients really hasn't changed very much. When stocks go down and they become less expensive, we like owning more of them. When they go up and get expensive, it's not like we trim a great deal, but we come in and there's nothing to do, and that's the right thing to do, so we don't do anything. Suck on our thumb and patiently wait. But we've had, some really good years. Interesting that one of the years we're most proud of was 2022. I think the market was down 18%. Most of our clients were down 5, 6, 7%. But we'd come to work every day as the market was dipping, and we had more excitement during that stretch than we've had for the last 2 or 3 years. So that's the way we're always going to do it. And we're going to, we always like to keep plenty of money on hand so that if the right stocks or the right businesses get cheap enough, we can add to them at the cheaper prices. So it's, even though things change from day to day, from even month to month, our philosophy is the same. And we'll keep doing it the same way we've always done it.
How about the tools on the platform? You feel like they're, you came out of a big wirehouse. There's a big fear that maybe the tools just aren't out there.
No, I think the tools are great. And I actually think the breadth of services that we provide are a lot better too. Like the term life insurance, I did one at Morgan. I'm like, I'm never doing that again, right? It was such a pain. Over here, it's easy, right? Where we partnered. Kestra makes it so much easier to do a bunch of different things. Like even Holistiplan's another one where we can give tax advice and look at some of those things. So those Kestra Ascend events, I think it's just really helped us provide a lot of other services. I think the money management has been pretty similar to what we were doing at Morgan, but the breadth of services that we can provide is night and day different. And it's just so much easier to do business at Kestra. And I think the trading platforms, the performance, all that stuff, I think is equal on par or better than at Morgan. So
you're on our, go ahead.
The thing I noticed too that I was a little bit surprised about was the fixed income, the availability and the breadth of the fixed income markets was really limited. I mean, you had Morgan Stanley's inventory when you were at the wirehouse.
Yeah.
You come over here, and all of a sudden you go, you got to be kidding. Look at the number of...
The phrase getting your face ripped off meant something in those environments.
Yeah.
It's a totally different deal.
But the variety that we can look at, even in our fixed income stuff, is so much better.
And you see a lot.
just let me circle back
Yeah.
real quick. I want to go back to you mentioned Holistiplan. Why don't you just talk a minute about what that is, how it works? I think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, so I'm a CPA by background, so I worked at KPMG for a little bit and then did a bunch of like criminal investigations too. So I'm pretty well versed in accounting and taxes. Like I got my master's degree in that. Holistiplan makes it really nice because I could take a client's tax return and review it, but it's time consuming, right? Holistiplan is this nice software where I get the completed return, I can upload it, and then like 10, 15 minutes later, I have a tax report, an analysis, helps us with deciding like Roth conversions. And for me, it's kind of offsetting some of that responsibility to look through page by page.
Yeah.
And then I can take that and give really good tax advice, and I'll get on calls with CPAs and say, hey, they should be doing X, Y, Z. He'll look and say, you're exactly right. And that came through, I work with the advisory council, Brian Laughlin's who want to introduce that to me.
That's what I was going to say. So
Yeah.
Brian's not a CPA,
No.
which I think makes the story even a little bit more interesting, right?
Yes.
Because I'm just thinking about people listening to this and they're thinking, well, yeah, he's a CPA. Of course he would. That would make sense to him. But I think where the real value is for all the people that aren't CPAs that are getting a ton of value.
Yes, and honestly, that 2-page report that Brian introduced it to me, not a CPA, he uses it with all his clients. I'm like, I got to look into this, but it just spits it out where it's pretty easy to understand. It's English. It's not.
Yeah.
And it's not legal jargon or something from the IRS code. Thank goodness, right?
And we've
don't
got the
dig
same
into that.
stuff for, life insurance policies. There's AI to analyze trust documents. You can analyze Medicare, Medicaid, in the healthcare plan with Caribou. You do see a lot of those tools on the council, and I know there's been some real success stories with firms building that business out, just the term business alone.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Scott. It's really helpful. And even like the DocuSign stuff, to account opening, beneficiaries, all that stuff has been so easy. Like we'll have 5 accounts opened in 5 different states in one day. I don't have to mail anything out.
Yeah.
So like the technology that Kester provides and those third party, it's really nice being independent where it's like, I don't think we're going to use that. These ones we really like and can pick and choose what we're going to use and put into our practice. So I think mostly from the 7 years, the money management stayed the same, but there's all sorts of different services that we can now provide and utilize some of those things like Holistiplan and others that are just really beneficial and time savers.
That's cool. I want to get to your participation in the advisory council in a minute, but before we do that, let's talk about the progression of the real estate situation for you guys, because you've had 2 offices. I think the story there is interesting. If you wouldn't mind sharing.
Yeah, when we got ready to leave Morgan Stanley, I was the branch manager at Morgan Stanley. We had 6, 7, 8 different advisors there, and I was real careful about not trying to recruit the other advisors. I knew that could maybe get myself in trouble if I did it. But there were a couple of advisors we worked with that said, hey, you and your son go, and we'll be over to join you, in 60 or 90 days. Now, that didn't actually occur, but when we looked at space with you, Scott, we looked at 3 or 4 different things. And we wanted to be good partners with you, so we picked kind of a middle-of-the-road place. We didn't want the lease payment to be too high where you guys felt like, well, these guys aren't doing it. And we didn't know how the conversion of bringing assets over from Morgan Stanley would be. Turned out to be marvelous and easier than we thought, but it's still 60 days of grind.
Right.
If you like 100% of your...
I'm from out of town, but that seems like the right number.
One of the things, I'm talking about that too, because it's important, one of our priorities was when we leave the wirehouse, we want every single client to be better off than they were at the wirehouse. That was one of our big priorities.
Yeah, sure.
And we wanted to be able to run the business the way we wanted to run it, not the way Morgan Stanley wanted us to run it. So that was another big priority. If you didn't have $200,000 or $250,000, you didn't get paid at Morgan Stanley. Well, we've had $10,000 and $15,000 and $20,000 accounts that we hung on to. We had relationships with these people. We wanted to keep them. And it's amazing that now my mother-in-law passes away and we inherit 3 or 4 or 5 million. We wouldn't have kept that account there. But let me come back to really the question. So we leased space and we signed a 5-year lease. But as we neared the end of that lease, we started looking around at real estate that we wanted to own. And Casey was really instrumental in that. Why don't you tell the story about how you found the building and how it all came together?
Yeah, and a lot of it came back to those Kestra Send meetings. We were talking, I think it was Scott Sade or one of the other advisors telling us, hey, I own my building and I get paid rent.
Scott.
Yeah, one of them. And we said, we got to do this. And it was about 3 years into our lease. So we said, we got some time.
Yeah.
And so I started looking every night. I just do, price per square foot type of stuff. And I think it was maybe a year later, we found a property. I said, Dad, this is a still. We made a full price offer the day of it. I was looking to, it's a qualified opportunity zone. They're in American Fork. So it's like if we hold on to it for 10 years, we don't owe any capital gains tax on the appreciation and some of those things.
There's a CPA coming out.
Yeah, built in the 30s. So it's an older home, but we bought it. The week after we bought it, the person we were buying it from came back to us and said, hey, we'll let you out of that contract if you want to. And they'd actually
knew it was a good deal.
Yeah. They got an offer for 20 grand more is what our real estate agent told us. So we felt really good about that. I think we put around 100,000 in, remodeling it, fixing it up, getting it the way we liked it. And it's been great. Now,
beautiful.
Yeah. And we were paying, I think, at Jamestown where we were leasing, I think it was about $4,500 a month. The Jamestown, our mortgage now is about $1,700.
I think what's cool about it, one of the things that I think that's cool about it is it's in the best way. It's sort of relatively unassuming from the outside, right?
Yeah.
But then you walk in, it's like, it's like the music. It's like incredible. It's total. It does not look like on the inside what what you think it's going to look like from the outside. It's really neat.
Yeah, and our wives actually helped. My mom and my wife helped kind of design the inside and all that with the remodel.
Yeah.
We didn't spend any money. My kids could go mow the lawn, weed over there, so I give them something to do on Saturdays for a little job. But it's been a great opportunity. It's been awesome.
And I think
That's
the way
really cool.
hopefully the way we treat you with paying you rent, and you guys have always been a very good partner. And I think why this works so well is you build trust. That you don't have to win every time. When you're at the wirehouse, you feel like you got to win on everything, and you end up losing on everything most of the time. We try to find that middle ground, and you guys have been great partners. And we want to help you grow any way you can. But owning your own building, for us, we love that. We love that. We help you build some net worth for your family, and that to us is important.
Well, my dad, Dad.
No,
we
ahead.
talk all the time at lunch, and we'll say this, I don't know how often, but we'll say every promise that Scott and Rob made to us at that dinner at Cheesecake and the couple months afterwards, right? They've kept over the 7 years. And unlike at a wirehouse where you know your number, you're not important, they don't know your family, they don't know anything like that, you guys do. And you guys have just been 100% honest with us up front. You go to bat. Sometimes we'll make mistakes and we'll say, hey, we messed this up, but you guys will even step in and cover some of those on our mistakes. I'm thinking of, that solicitor agreement type thing just recently, but every step of the way along the 7 years, you guys have been true to us. And that means a lot, more than I can say.
Well, I appreciate that.
This partnership thing is a two-way street, but we are really grateful to you two guys and the way it's been a little over 7 years now, but every year you felt like you were just getting another little cut and you were bleeding out over time. This has felt completely opposite. As we've grown our business and we've grown our revenue, our payouts increased a little bit, as you said it would and as you showed us it would. So it's just been terrific, and I can't speak more highly of these two guys. Rob and Scott have been the best partners we could have ever hoped for.
Appreciate that, Dan.
And the rest of the team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we leave out some others, but that's for PWS.
We're lucky to have, we get the glory out of it many times, but the team really, they care a lot. And, you guys are on that list of when paperwork gets moved to the top of the pile.
No doubt about it.
You guys are good partners because you care about people, and it shows. So
And
That's true, and I didn't mean to miss that.
I don't think
because
it wasn't taken.
guys like Kevin Foote
Yeah.
and Serena
Juliana.
and Juliana.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a team, and you don't feel like I never felt like I had a team.
we can leave Serena.
people
She
that-
doesn't-
She's going to be so
Hi, Serena.
No, I think that if we and I don't need to or seek to take credit here, but I think where our job is in what you're talking about is setting the standard for care and for empathy and for compassion. And those are not words that typically get kicked around in our business a lot. But as two guys who sat in the seat for a long time, I think we just come at it from a different angle. And for us, it is, you are our client. And so the way that you treat your clients is the way that we seek to treat you. And you don't try to squeeze your clients. You don't try to get every last nickel you can in every interaction that you have. And all of that sort of ethos carries over into the philosophy, if you want to call it, of how we want to run this business.
That last little issue we had, I called Rob up and I go, now I already know how I would have answered if we would have been in your seat as an advisor. And I said to him, he goes, oh, there's no way that we're going to charge them. I go, that's exactly, because we view it like we understand how it works. And you guys are always gracious about it, but we do try to come at it from your side of the table, and hopefully that comes across.
It does, very much so. Very much so. The other thing I would say before we leave the topic of our office space.
Yeah.
I mean, we were 1/4 of one floor in a building, and one of the other tenants that took about half the space on the main floor was a chiropractor. And we shared bathrooms with all these other people that were coming and going. And it, you know, compared to what we have now, I mean, it's really
it was a little weird.
Not just bathroom, but it's peaceful.
Yeah.
It's quiet.
Yeah.
And our space now really fits us. And we're to the good every single month as owners versus tenants.
Yeah.
And when we make an improvement or do something, we know it's
helping you.
It's helping us.
Yeah.
So anyway.
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
We love that.
Let's jump in real quick, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but it happens, it seems to be happening more and more, that we are having father-son teams join the business, or mother-son, mother-daughter, what have you, but family businesses are becoming more and more common. So I expect that trend will continue. So talk to us about that. What's it like to work with your dad, and what's it like to work with your son?
Why don't you start this?
It's great. It's really been great work with my dad, and it's been fun because I lived down in Arizona way, you know, for about 10 years, and now I get to see him every day, and we have all sorts of interactions. It's fun to see him care about sometimes the third generations that he's worked with. Like he's worked with their grandparents, their parents, and now the kids. And, you know, I'm connecting more with the kids, but it's like the same families. So to do that and to be working with him and have just 100% trust with my dad, that's hard to find in partners, you know. And I think we have that. We have a lot of fun, but we can be completely honest with each other too if we don't think something makes sense too. So it's been great from my perspective. Now, I probably couldn't work with some of my brothers. I have 3. I won't name which ones, right? We wouldn't get along so good. We probably had clashes, but with my dad, it's been great. So
That's great.
I feel the same way. And my son Casey adds so much to the business. From his CPA background perspective. And if you knew him, he's dogged, relentless in figuring out why this was this way. So our analysis of individual businesses is so much better with him as part of my team than it would be if I were just
I saw that spreadsheet.
If I were just trying to sort through it on my own. He's very talented, and if there's a charge that a business takes, he doesn't stop until we figure out why and if that's going to be permanent or temporary. So as a result of that, our stock selection for ourselves and our clients is so much better. He mentioned his siblings. He's got great brothers, but none of them have the same temperament. And I knew from the get-go that of all my sons, he had the right temperament to keep doing this.
I think he just said you're his favorite. But your brothers won't see this, so it'll be fine.
we keep that on the down low.
We loved how you take each child to Hawaii every year and you alternate. I mean, when we heard that the first night we had dinner, and we looked at each other like, we love this because we're jealous. We wanted to bring our children into the business. We just hired a team in Ohio. It's a father-daughter and a father-son team on the same team. There's 4 of them, and it's awesome. Yeah. Like to listen to them about building a practice. I kind of feel sorry for the 5th and 6th advisors that aren't part of the family, but it is really special. So it's fun to watch
there's something really special about it. And when you really care for your clients like we do, to know that if something happens and I can't take care of them, many advisors I worked with for those 30 years prior to joining Kestra, I wouldn't have trusted them to take the same kind of care that I felt like these clients deserved, that these friends deserved. And now that we've done this together for 10 years, I know they're in good hands.
Right.
So that's real comforting for me.
That's a really good
And point. I think for them too.
And when you brought over that other business and that gentleman, you treated him right and he left, that's why all his clients stayed.
Yeah.
Because they knew that they were in great hands, and that was a testament to what you two do. We saw that.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do this. So we're running short on time. I want to do kind of a lightning round, and I want to finish that. So what was his name? I can't remember.
Kim Hodges.
Kim.
Yeah, Kim was great.
Love that guy. And he's out doing his thing, right?
Yeah, we had lunch with him a couple months ago. He's retired and enjoying life. So
that's great.
I knew him quarterback when I was with Foster and Marshall, one of the.
Now you're digging away.
I remember. I remember the phone call where you told me he was one of the very few guys you knew you wanted to work with.
Yeah. And he just a good guy.
Yeah.
He did mostly brokerage business. If we were doing that again, in the couple years he worked with us, we would really have tried to help him go to the advisory platform with many of those clients, because now we're doing it, but it's harder when he's not in the driver's seat and doing it with us.
Right.
But it's still, we're making progress, and it's still the right thing to do, and I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
I'm just going to try and jump through here. So, Casey, real quick, you're a member of our advisor council. That's a group that we put together to advise us, right?
Yeah.
Tell us where we're doing things that are great and tell us where we need to improve. So, talk about that real quick and how, if any way, that's changed your perspective on the business.
You know, it's been awesome to serve on there, and the other advisors I work with are really great. And it's interesting to see how they all have different ways of doing business. Like none of their businesses look the exact same,
right?
And yet Kestra is really helpful in each of them. Like something that's maybe not a big issue to me and my dad is an issue to some of them. Kestra helps them all. So it's really given me a lot more respect for what Kestra does on the back end and all the different issues that are important to various different advisors. It's really neat too to see the executive team at Kestra listen to us. Like the whole day, they'll be in the room and they're spending a lot of time listening to our concerns and stuff. But so it's been really interesting to see just how different advisors' practices are, but then the level of attention, care, and what they try to correct and help on the executive team has been really, admirable from my standpoint. Because Morgan, we weren't getting anywhere. Morgan, we could call and get yelled at or something, but they weren't going to listen to any suggestions we had. Yeah, leave or to be quiet. Right.
I remember the first time Casey was at one of those meetings, and I don't think we ever told you this, but a couple of our prior councils probably did not have as many people running the business. They were more
real operators.
More the people that were the relationship managers. But the first time you came to a meeting and they could tell that we seriously had tried to put people on the council that we knew we could ask, hey, how does this actually work? And Casey has that detail. Now that I know he was a CPA and all the other things, I know he worked for maybe I can't say publicly who he worked for with the government. But you definitely have added a ton, and on behalf of the other advisors, I know they appreciate it too. So,
thanks.
And it's not a paid position either, so we appreciate it.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, Dave, managing the wirehouse at Morgan Stanley versus managing your own business.
The big difference in my mind is we run the business the way we think it should be run. Mm-hmm. Someone doesn't tell us how to run the business. Mm-hmm. We don't have minimum account sizes because that's what we decided. I mean, 10, 15, 20,000. We would never, first of all, they wouldn't have paid us on any of those.
Right.
And yet they're good people this is a grandson to so-and-so who was my client 35, 40 years ago. We get to decide how to run the business, and no one tells us how to run it. I mean, we stay compliant, and we always want to do that. We always want to do what's right for the client, but no one's telling us to do securities-based lending. No one's telling us to do this, that, and the other, and that's really been a breath of fresh air.
You missed the comp changes, right? With the revenue
every
control.
every October, November.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Well, the last year he mentioned security-based lending. Last year we were at Morgan. He was under so much pressure that we need to do so much security-based lending on all of our clients, pushing this lending product where I dug through Morgan Stanley's financials, like, great, that's really profitable for you, but it's not the best thing for our clients.
There's a reason that this firm exists, and what Dave just said is basically the bedrock reason. And so that's really cool to hear that. And I would say, look, there are times when securities-based lending is great for your client. And so we want to make sure you have, in fact, we have access to 3 different lenders, right? So great, but to shove it down people's throat is just, anyway.
Well, we do it for some clients even now.
Yeah, sure.
And it's just as good, if not better, than what I had at Morgan.
Yeah.
But I resented being told.
That's what I mean.
They beat me up every single month because we had this number, and we didn't open a security-based lending account last month. What are you doing over there, Johnston? What's going on?
Right.
And I'm going, well,
I think I'm going to go.
and month after month after month, it just gets to you.
Okay, last question. I want you to think about what's over the horizon for you guys as a business, as a firm, working together, et cetera. And if there's a quote that either of you sort of, sometimes there are quotes that live in the business that are sort of shaping how you think about things and do things, I'd love to hear that too.
Why don't you start?
Well, I don't know about a quote, but like as far as our vision, I would really like to grow. If we can do another tuck-in like Kim, and that's what we're working with the wealth consulting team at Kester to try to find another tuck-in if we can. I just feel like that makes a lot of sense. I've seen a lot of other KPWS firms do that. So as far as that, keep doing that. Keep working. My dad's got a long runway, so he's got 20 more years till he's 90. That's what we're hoping for.
Let's go.
On that front. But just keep growing. I mean, our growth, I look back 7 years ago, what our revenue, what our assets under management were compared to today. If we can just keep that trajectory, keep that momentum, I think we'd both be really happy on that front.
The truth of the matter is, I'm disappointed in any year that comes and goes and we're not better off than we were the prior year, and that our clients aren't better off than they were the prior year. Now, I get it that we have down years in the market, and not every year, but we're doing what's right for the clients. And the phrase that comes to mind, I think it was Ben Franklin that said, if you take care of your shop will take care of you.
Right.
And that's really what we've tried to do. And if we keep taking care of our shop, we take care of our clients and our business, we'll double again the asset. We'll have twice as many assets. We'll be doing twice as much production in 10 years as we're doing now. That's really encouraging and satisfying to, I think, the both of us.
Well, you've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We feel the same way about, taking care of our people. And it rings with us. It really does.
I agree. I think the modern version of Ben Franklin there is probably Herb Kelleher. If I take care of my employees, they'll take care of the passengers, and everybody will be happy. Well, good. That's a good place to leave it. Thanks a lot for coming up and visiting with us, guys. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
It was great. Well, good to see you all again.
Did you have
very much for joining us. And that's another episode of Kestra Private Wealth Services on the Fly. See you soon.